I sailed a wild, wild sea, climbed up a tall, tall mountain. I met an old man beneath the weeping willow tree. He said, now if you got some questions, go and lay them at my feet. But my time here is brief, so you'll have to pick just three. And I said, what do you do with the pieces of a broken heart? And how can a man like me remain in the light? And if life is really as short as they say, then why is the night so long? And then the sun went down and he sang for me this song. See, I once was a young fool like you, afraid to do the things that I knew I had to do. So I played an escapade just like you. I played an escapade just like you. I sailed a wild, wild sea, climbed up a tall, tall mountain. I met an old man. He sat beneath a sapling tree. He said, now if you got some questions, go and lay them at my feet. But my time here is brief, so you'll have to pick just three. And I said, what do you do with the pieces of a broken heart? And how can a man like me remain in the light? And if life is really as short as they say, then why is the night so long? And then the sun went down and he played for me this song.
I don't want surfing to be every beach you go to is a big hotel, elevator and pool and all them things. I don't want that. I want to pitch a tent and, jump on the beach and catch a fire and, roast two fish and go ride some waves with your friends. That's the vibe. I don't want if surfing lose that vibe. If surfing never had that vibe, it would have hard for me to get started.
When I was a young boy, used to go to church every Sunday. There was hand clapping, foot stomping music. We used to dance in the name of the Lord. And now I grow older, somewhere on the road of life, I wanna sing a song to you. God to protect us, and thus I say, if the whole world could be wrapped up in love, what a beautiful feeling, such air. now and then. Sing a song of love for the children to learn. Whoa, 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 la la la. Never mind who wants to do their own thing. If we could be like that every time, we could never solve the problems together. But remember one thing, as a nation and the people that is unified, remember, you need love, don't you? We all need love, don't we? The children need love, don't we? The whole world need love, don't we? Hoping me, my mind no slip, sailing on a sinking ship into the sunset in death. Dark night on a long highway, little lights in the house. They say there's somebody staying up late. Whoa. I'll meet you, tell you, oh yeah, you know I will. And I'll be true, tell you forever or until I go home.
Logan. Logan. Logan's wearing a Nirvana shirt. Logan's wearing a Nirvana shirt. Logan's standing on this. Logan's standing on the camera stage. Hello. Hello. Daniel. Hello. Daniel. 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 Daniel.
Hello, 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 hello.
Everybody needs some time, and everybody knows the rest of it's fine, and everybody knows that. Come on now, sugar, bring it on, yeah. Just remember me when you're good to go. Come on now, honey, bring it on, yeah. Just remember me when we used to be friends a long time ago. We used to be friends a long time ago. We used to be friends a long time ago. We used to be friends. A long time ago, we used to be friends, but I haven't thought of you lately at all. If ever again, a greeting I send to you, short and sweet to the soul, I intend. We used to be friends a long time ago. We used to be friends a long time ago. We used to be friends a long time ago. We used to be friends. must be a forecast that you won't let yourself see. So you'll keep watching as you're drifting, sail away from what you need. But why don't I just give you everything you'll take from me? 'Cause nobody owns anything and everyone is free. And that's why the ship is going down. Desperately I need a sound, a song to sing so we could carry on. Just let it be sung so we could carry on. God-fearing people at the bottom of the sea, walking without lanterns as the storms skip over thee. Hi ho, away, the sail that sing. Hi ho, be gone, this menstruous storm, the walls out of the ocean. This ship is going down. Desperately I need a sound, a song to sing so we could carry on. Just let it be sung so we might carry on. Let it be sung so we, let it be sung so we could carry on. I've heard all of the stories, and in them I put my trust. You gotta touch the bottom before you can come back up. And I know what your heart is telling you, 'cause my heart's telling me the same thing too. This ship is going down. Desperately I need a sound, a song to sing so we could carry on. Just let it be sung so we might carry on. Let it be sung so we, let it be sung so we could carry on.
stars and diamonds strewn across a blue blanket. I lean against the wind, pretend that I am weightless, and in this moment I am happy, happy. I wish you were here. I wish you were here. I wish you were here. had a dream. I stood beneath an orange sky. Yes, I had a dream. I stood beneath an orange sky. With my brother standing by. With my brother standing by. I said, brother, you know, it's a long road we've been walking on. Brother, you know it is, such a long road we've been walking on. Oh, brother. And I had a dream. I stood beneath an orange sky. My sister standing by. With my sister standing by. I said, sister, here is what I know now. Here is what I know now. Goes like this. In your love, my salvation lies in your love. My salvation lies in your love. My salvation lies in your love, in your love, in your love. Oh, but sister, you know I'm so weary. And you know, sister, my heart's been broken. Sometimes my mind is too strong to carry on. Too strong to carry on. When I am alone, when I've thrown off the weight of this crazy stone, when I've lost all care for the things I own, that's when I miss you, that's when I miss you, that's when I miss you, you who are my home. You who are my home. And here is what I know now, here is what I know now, goes like this. In your love, my salvation lies in your love. 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 My salvation lies in your love, in your love, in your love. Well, I had a dream. I stood beneath an orange sky. Yes, I had a dream. I stood beneath an orange sky. With my brother and my sister standing by. With my brother and my sister standing by. With my brother and my sister standing by.
Shut up. How's it going, dude? Hey, man, what's up? Tell Toddy to turn the radio back on.
When you grab a hold of me, you tell me that I'll never be set free. But I'm a parasite. Creep and crawl, I step into the night.
Mic check. All right, folks, good afternoon. We're going to go ahead and start. From my understanding, there should be overflow seating in the lobby. If you guys need seats, the service will be streamed up there too. Let's go ahead and start with prayer. Father, bless us today. Guide us and lead us. Today is a day of comfort, mourning, and fellowship. Thank you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Good afternoon. Oh, wow. I'm just going to start by saying that I just appreciate everybody who's here today and everybody who's made the effort. I mean, lots of people drove long distances to be here. And as a family, it just blesses our hearts to know that you're here and that you loved Ryan, you know, and Ryan loved you. And it means everything to us. It's been a hard journey. The last 2 months have been a really hard journey. And today we come to this day that we never thought we would. So, but I'm Ryan's mom, and I'm going to talk to you about Ryan, my baby. He was my baby, and Ryan was born in Pasadena, California, and he was born with 7 major heart defects. That night, the doctor told us, the first time I saw Ryan, the doctor told us that he only had half a heart and that he only had 12 hours to live. So at 3 weeks old, he was still breathing. They decided to do an angiogram, and he had his first surgery. And at that surgery, they only gave him a 50-50 chance to live, but he lived. And he was born on Christmas, and he came home on Good Friday. And there's a little story to that. One morning I was praying, and I just said, Lord, I know that's impossible, but it would be really good to have Ryan home for Easter. And within a week, he started eating, and he was able to come home on Good Friday. And that was a mama's prayer answered. So he walked at 18 months. He kind of progressed slowly. And he was on a lot of medications. Sometimes I felt like I was just a nurse drawing up medications for him all day long. And but he was a happy boy. He was a happy kid. And he got involved in everything. He never allowed his physical problems to keep him from doing what he wanted to do, no matter what that was. And when he was almost 5, he had his second surgery, and this surgery made a big difference in Ryan's physical abilities. He wasn't blue anymore. He got more oxygen. He was able to play. He had more energy and more stamina. In 1986, Ryan started kindergarten, and he was always proud, and we were too, to be in the class of 2000. And if you think about 1986 and 2000, it was kind of a novelty that he was the class of 2000. Now, Ryan never liked school, and he didn't really fight with us on a regular basis, but he just didn't like school. And after his first day of kindergarten, he came home and he said, "Kindergarten done, tomorrow, first grade." But when we told him he had to go back and he had to go to school for 12 years, he was so disappointed. But nevertheless, he went to school every day. And our family was important to us, and we always tried to do things with our kids, make life enjoyable for them. We did a lot of different things, enjoyed activities. We loved visiting Grandma, going on walks, hiking together, and we took our boys on vacations. And I was telling someone this morning that we went to the beach a lot, and Chad and Ryan both loved the beach. Ryan loved to surf, and we just all loved the beach. And when Ryan was real small, he always thrived physically at the beach. It was like that beach air was good for him. So there were 2 times where I took Ryan on trips. I took him to Hong Kong when Bob and Pam Howard lived there. And we just had such a good time because Ryan was friends with their son, Nathan. And it's a trip that I'll always cherish, that I took Ryan with me that time. And then I took him to New York. And I think all of you know that Ryan was a Yankees fan. And so I took him to New York, and we went to a Yankees game. And it was just a real cherished memory for both of us. So, of course, Ryan was always involved in church. Going to Sunday school and kids' church was a regular part of his life, our lives. And one Sunday afternoon, we got in the car, and I noticed Ryan's pockets were just bulging. And I'm like, Ryan, what do you have in your pockets? And he goes, the offering. And so I asked him, I go, Ryan, why do you have the offering? And he goes, Sister Ortiz asked me to take the offering. And I go, okay, but you can't take it home. And he goes, Mom, she said take the offering. He got real loud, take the offering. So he had it in his pockets. I'm sure we made him give it back. But as he got older, he got involved with different things in the church, with the dramas and the different plays our church would do. Ryan got involved. And he also began to work in the sound and media booth. And in high school, he was in the ROTC class for animation. And he learned so much in those classes, and then he applied it to his time at church. And he became really good at the tech part of sound and video. And he would also recruit his friends to act in his little videos. And it was always fun to watch Ryan, get his friends to act for him, and then he would film them, and he would edit it, and he always had all kinds of fun doing that. Some of the actors are here. But as we grew in church and Ryan grew in ministry, his main goal really was to make his dad look good. And, you can do a lot up here, but when things in the back don't go right, things seem to fall apart. So Ryan always told his dad, I just want to make you look good, Dad. And he would do the banners and the advertisements and all sorts of things just to make our ministry look good and to make our church look good. He also got involved in the district youth program, and he was able to put together videos for youth office and rallies and different things. A true highlight of Ryan's life was the missions trip to Guatemala. And when Tim Arnold announced they were going to Guatemala, Ryan was like, I'm going. And I told him, well, I don't know, Ryan, that's not a real clean place. He's immunosuppressed. I'm like, I don't know if you should go there. And he goes, Mom, if I die in Guatemala, I've achieved my dream. And so then I knew God had put it in his heart, and I could handle whatever he wanted to do there. So in 2001, Ryan went into the hospital waiting for a heart transplant. And 3 months to the day, he got a heart. And everything that we prayed for Ryan's heart was answered that day. And Ryan getting that new heart brought him new life. And for 15 years, he was just so much better. Everything was better. And the last 4 years have been more of a struggle for him. His heart began to fail and stuff. But that heart transplant was just an answer to prayer and a gift to Ryan and our family. Ryan's first job was Burlington Coat Factory. He worked in shoes. And I like that because I love shoes. He also worked for Burger King, and he worked for a charter cable company. And he learned so much there. He learned a lot about lighting and filming. They would film the high school games, the football games and basketball games, and then they would air them on their stations. So Ryan got to learn a lot. So after Ryan got his heart and things settled down, one day Ryan told me that, he goes, I'm happy, Mom. He goes, I don't need a girlfriend to complete my life. I'm happy the way I am, and I'm fine. I want you to know. And I'm like, okay. So 2 weeks later, he hands me his phone, and on the other end of the phone, I hear, hi, Mrs. Chrysler. This is Kayla Jones. And they were actually playing TV trivia on the phone. They would talk for hours. I mean, really hours. Ryan's phone bill was like $700. Ryan's whole life lit up when he met Kayla, and I knew that he was in love. And the day he told me that he loved her, he was just beaming. He loved her. And he would come home after dates with her and catch me looking at wedding venues. But he didn't mind, so that was nice. So Kayla was everything to Ryan. He moved to Bakersfield, and within a year, we celebrated their marriage. And their wedding, their marriage was one of the happiest days for our family, and for Ryan and Kayla too. Anyone who was there knows the love that they shared together that day. It was a great day, even if they had to live in Bakersfield. So in 2 years, they were having their first child. And for us as grandparents, that was just the best news ever. And Abigail Luann Chrysler was born in 2011, and she brought so much joy to our lives. I didn't know you could love someone so much, but I do. And then we got double the blessing when Emma Elaine came along, not long, like 17 months later, and she just doubled our joy. So Ryan and Kayla began to work with us here in Norwalk, and they took care of all the music, the sound, and the media. And Ryan designed our banners. You'll see some around the church today. He just wanted to make things look good and advertise, and he never wanted to be pastor. But God changed all that, and he began to plan events, develop a team, and a team for ministry to reach outside the walls of the church. And then he began to preach amazing messages. And his style was unique and different than anybody else that I knew. And I loved it. I was so proud of him and the way that he would develop a message. And he worked so hard, so many hours he put in to develop a message. And he challenged our thinking. It was totally different. He might use a song from, I don't even know the name of a band, The Grateful Dead. But he always challenged our congregation's thinking. And he was just so good doing that. He worked hard. Ryan never let his physical ailments keep him back. And that's something that I loved about him. He never used it as an excuse to get his own way. And he never used it as an excuse to sit in the house when everyone else was outside. In 2017, our little baby Hannah Riley was born. And she's named after her dad, Riley. And she looks like him, and sometimes she jokes around like him too. And she brings so much joy to us, and I'm just so glad to have a baby in our family. All the girls just love their daddy, and it's going to be a tough road for all of us, but we're family, and we have the Lord in our lives. And I know all of you today, I thank you for being here and caring about our family and Ryan.
Thanks a lot, Joyce. I speak in front of thousands and thousands and thousands of people every week. That's not true, but if Ryan were here, he would be busting up laughing right now. You might recognize me from Ryan's favorite web series, Survivor Man. New shows weekly. Tune in for that. But I've known Ryan since we were little boys. Since they were over in San Gabriel at Sunlight Chapel, I met Ryan there as my dad would travel, and I would see him here and there. And we were PIPAs together. Holler, anyone back there that remembers that? That's right. I don't know what DYD is now, so no offense, TJ. But since 2010, Ryan and I have been really close friends, best friends. And shortly after my wife and I, Becky, got married, Kayla and Ryan moved back to Orange County. And one of the first nights at our new apartment, Ryan and Kayla came over. They were new to town, and I was new to cooking. And so we all suffered through a meal together. I jacked up some gravy and had to send my wife to Boston Market across the street. They don't even know the fight that we had before they got there, and we just acted like everything was fine. Everything was great. But we had some good times together, just the four of us. We did whatever we wanted, man, for about a year. And, you know, we'd call each other and be like, hey, you want to go see a movie? Be like, sure, why not, you know? So 4 grown adults going to see a midnight movie, Toy Story 3. Yeah, you know, we're pastors' kids. You know, we went and watched the Lakers win a championship in the bar at Chili's. And we had some good times. One time we decided we were going to track down the Kogi truck. It's this kind of food truck craze, and we got in Ryan's pickup truck, and we were racing after it, and a cop pulled us over. And, you know, of course, our wives are on one side of the car busting up laughing, and me and Ryan are freaking out on the other side of the car like we're transporting drugs. And Ryan is really nervous. And I'm telling him, dude, you got to calm down, bro. You got to calm down right now. And I'm freaking out myself because I just don't like the police. But they have their role. But, you know, I was nervous. And we were freaking out. And, he was supposed to slow down. And, you know, we got out of there. I got their car towed one time. Got Ryan's car towed. They came over to our house to hang out with our youth group from our church. And we left their truck. I said, park it across the street at the Carl's Jr. It's going to be fine. No worries. $450 later, they got their truck back. I did give them a donut, so I feel like it balanced out. I mean, we hung out, man, not a care in the world. We laughed, we carried on. 2 couples in love, and then we had 3 kids each. And that changed everything. I don't know if you have ever seen a waitress's face at Red Robin when you say, I need a table for 10 and 6 kids menus. It just breaks their spirit. They just, we were like a walking abstinence ad when we would go out together. It was pandemonium. We could not, we just got to the point where we just decided we're not even going to go out and eat. We'll just go to each other's houses because walking around with 6 kids is no fun. But you know that it was a true friendship when you could ball out an old lady in Red Robin and not judge each other for it. This one time, this lady was just mean mugging poor little Abby, little 2-year-old Abby, looking at her. And I tell her, when you see her, and he's like, yeah, what are we going to do? And I went, I'll take care of it. And he went, what are you going to do? And I went, hey, lady, what are you looking at? And Ryan was like, freaking out. It was awesome. One time, me and Ryan decided, you know what? We're going to walk from the Brea Mall to Target. It's a nice night out with the 4 kids. Yeah, I went about how it sounded. Our kids were jumping off those red balls in front of Target. Me and Ryan just left the girls. Said, see you later. We got stuck at Payway one time. Recently, we were over at their house, and my son Elijah was doing some dance moves. He was moving around, and he was doing this kind of thing. And one of the Chrysler girls said, I like the way you dance. And I told Ryan, that's the Jones mating ritual, my friend. How do you think I got my wife? In the 9 years that we've pretty much been friends, we've gone out on one double date, just the 4 of us. One time last year, we went to Wood Ranch, and I saw Ryan and Kayla. They were already sitting at the table because they were there before us, but they were always late, so that made no sense. So then I got there, and I jumped up on the table. I said, no kids! And everyone looked at me like I was a crazy man. We enjoyed going to the Brea Mall. We used to call it Thunderdome because there was this little play area where kids would just get scrappy fights. But we had that rare type of friendship, Ryan and I, where I could feel like I could just tell him whatever was on my mind. And he wouldn't judge me, at least not to my face. Maybe after I leave, he'd say, that guy's kind of a weirdo. Okay, let's stay away. But never to my face. I remember when Ryan told me that he was going to take over as pastor here at the Walk, which kind of blew my mind because up until that point, I was worried about his salvation and stuff. And he told me, people don't think I know a buttload about the gospel, but I do. On paper, though, I don't think Ryan and I really should have been friends. Because every year at this time, Ryan would text me, the McRib is back. And I would text him, I'm not sure why we're friends. I mean, it has meat in the shape of bones, people. I don't understand it, but the guy loved the McRib. We never really said it to each other, but I hated the way he drove. And he hated the way I drove. So we would always meet each other no matter where we went. We would just meet each other there. One time when Kayla was pregnant with Abby, we had to go to Bakersfield, and Ryan drove us there, and it was the longest 3 hours of my life. I don't know how, it was like 40 miles an hour, one lane the whole way. And I was like, whoa, dude, you gas is on the right, brother. I don't know what you're doing. You know, Ryan was the ultimate pessimist. And I am the ultimate optimist. One time we went to a Dodger game, and it was the first inning. They were playing the Giants, and Hutter Pence hit a home run. First inning. And Ryan went, that's it, game's over. I'm getting something to eat. And he was dead serious. He was not kidding. He was like, game is over, dude. I'm leaving. And I was like, wait. The Dodgers ended up winning 5-2, but it was over before it started. He was a good friend. You know, one time Ryan almost killed me. He found some fireworks in the gutter here behind the church. And he said, hey, man, I found these fireworks. Do you want some? You know, being a pastor in a city where illegal fireworks are illegal, I said, absolutely, I want some. Bring them to me. So he got me these fireworks, and, you know, I didn't hesitate. I got them home, and it was the 4th of July was coming up, and I told my dad and my boys, I took them outside. I'm like, hey, my buddy, my best friend, the guy that I love, gave me these fireworks. He found them in a ditch. Nothing suspicious about that. Come outside. I'm going to light this mortar off and come watch it. So I got an empty Pringles can, because why not, and to launch it. Firefighter Dusty's like going, oh, my God. And I decided I'm going to light this thing off, and so I lit it off, and my 4-year-old and my 6-year-old are sitting right there, and my dad, and we're looking, and it goes, whoop, and nothing happened, and I went, that's weird. And all of a sudden I saw a spark, and about that time I said, run! The thing just exploded on the ground. It shot fireworks toward us, embers and lights and everything. So I called my friend Ryan. I said, hey, man, you know that firework you gave me? And I told him what happened. I didn't hear anything on the other end of the phone. Nothing. Until I heard Ryan choking and coughing. Because when Ryan would laugh really hard, he would not breathe until he started to choke. He'd be like, and then he would start laughing. The man was laughing that I got killed on. It was like the stuff you see on YouTube. It was nuts, man, I'm telling you. Not too long ago, we went and watched the last Avenger movie together. And Ryan had already seen it, but he was going to go see it with me, and we were watching it. We were sitting there, and before he started, he said, hey, man, there's going to be this part coming up, and you're going to hate it. And I thought, okay. I don't know what's going to happen. And I thought, oh, it's the Fat Thor. Yeah, I was like, yeah, man, I hate that idea. It's Fat Thor. But then all of a sudden, all these chicks got together, and they assembled. And I was like, oh, my God. And he was just busting up laughing at me. And then a little while later, you know, to the climax, spoiler alert, Iron Man dies. Sorry, you should have already seen it. And this man next to me is sobbing, uncontrollably sobbing, like, and Ryan is doing the no breathing laughing. And so I look at him and I start laughing, and I'm like hysterical laughing. I'm like, and so I'm like, I gotta go. He's like, bro, don't leave me. I'm like, I gotta go. You gotta let me go. He's like, dude, don't leave me, please. And so then the lady next to us hands us tissue. And then it was over. Then it was done. Then we had to leave. We would text each other. We would talk about our sermons. We would talk about our kids and what cuss words they were saying. We would talk about our wives. You know, thanks to my relationship with Ryan, I can tell you that there's absolutely no good way or good time to go to Cedar Sinai. Just tell you. We would talk to each other about eating Taco Bell. And we would text each other and say, hey, I'm eating Taco Bell. And he'd say, awesome. what are you having? And I would tell him, and he would call me and tell me the same thing. And then we'd call each other an hour later and say, I'm never eating Taco Bell again. Until the next time. We had a slumber party at the hospital during the summer. I came to stay with Ryan while he was having some treatment done. And we sat there and we ate banana pudding and watched Harry Potter. Now, I don't enjoy the Harry Potter like any good Pentecostal. I think Harry Potter's the devil, but I can't tell you why. But when a guy's laying in a hospital bed with a tube coming out of his neck, you just do what he wants to do. You don't ask questions. I have memories with Ryan that I'll never forget. Right here on this stage, Ryan allowed me to dedicate Hannah. And he gave me the opportunity to preach in his church. He even let me borrow his own rattlesnake while I was here. You know, I miss him. I miss him a lot. I'm going to miss going to watch UFC fights with him at Buffalo Wild Wings, and those times he'd forget his sweatshirt and sit there freezing and act like he wasn't cold. I'm going to miss sending him fail videos and texting him to say hi. Spent a lot of time over the past week and a half wondering what Ryan is doing in heaven. The guy who wanted to introduce people to Jesus, he's getting to talk to him. He's getting to see his face. I think maybe they've shared a taco and maybe had a root beer together. Maybe they're eating apple slices and Mountain Dew, because that's what Ryan told me that he wanted so bad when he was in the hospital those last weeks. I used to make him laugh because I told him, you know, the first thing I do when I'm going to get to heaven, Ryan, you know what it's going to do? I'm going to do a human video to the champion, just in the presence of God, just because. If you've ever been to do a Teen Town Expo, that'd be really funny. Over the course of our friendship, I offered Ryan a kidney, liver, blood on more than one occasion. One time, Ryan actually called me and said, hey, man, I might need you to go be a liver match. And I didn't hesitate. I said, what time do you need me to be there? Because he was just that kind of friend. You wanted to help him. You wanted to be part of his life. And, I got to watch in amazement here at the walk one time when Ryan made his donor movie. And I thought, man, that's my friend. My friend did that. It was incredible. Ryan is not an affectionate guy, if you don't know that. Every time we'd leave each other, we'd do this awkward handshake, high five, fist bump, side hug thing. It was really weird, but I got used to it over the years. The Monday that Ryan passed away, he probably said the nicest thing he's ever said to me in all of our friendship. He looked at me and he said, you're a good friend and a really funny guy. I looked at him and said, I know. You know, I miss this guy, and I got to be honest, I love him. And I can't tell you how many times over the past couple of weeks I've wanted to text Ryan, or I've actually got my phone out in my hand to send Ryan a text because something struck me as funny, or I was annoyed with something, because that was who Ryan was to me. He was that guy. He was my covenant brother. He was my wingman. And because Ryan is gone today, that doesn't change that Ryan is in covenant with me. And I just want Kayla and the girls to know that you're an extension of Ryan, and that I love you girls, and that I'm here for you, and that I have your back. And my life is better for having known Ryan Chrysler. And I thank you for being here today, and it's incredible to see that Ryan is loved so much. Thank you.
Ryan. He married my daughter and he became my son. There were an awful lot of firsts with Brian. As he became part of our family, and we are a traditional family and a very loyal one, we always would have Christmas ham. And Kayla told me that Ryan didn't like ham. And so I sympathetically said, that's because you haven't had my ham, of which he had 3 helpings. And then he said, the first day after Christmas, when we have Christmas beans, Kayla told me Ryan doesn't like beans. So I told him that's because you haven't had mine, and he had 2 bowls. And he declared he did not like basketball, which is sacrilege in Joan's house. And he became a fan, a Laker lover, and a Celtics hating fan. Ryan screamed and jumped up and down as the Lakers beat the Celtics for the championship. And I found myself loving him so much for everything that he hated and found out that he actually liked. He loved baseball, but he always stayed loyal to the Yankees. Though I have to point out he did propose at Dodger Stadium. He loved us, and he fiercely loved his wife and 3 daughters. Ryan and Kayla made the Chrysler Jones tribes a family. And I miss him so very much, but I am so grateful for all the firsts that Ryan brought into our lives. First family, first wedding, first granddaughters. And I am most grateful for the brilliant light that Ryan put in my daughter's eyes. I had never seen it before. I will never see that since. I love the fact that when Ryan walked through our door, not only was it so obvious that he was crazy about Kayla, but he came in and he said, while she wasn't in the room, I would like your permission, Chet and Gina. I think he called us Mr. and Mrs. Jones at that point. He said, I would like your permission to date your daughter with the intention of marrying her. And we knew there was no one that would ever be quite like Ryan. I'm grateful for every minute that I got to share with him. And I'm so grateful for the family that he left us.
I think this is on. I'm Chip Jones. This is my wife Gina. We were Ryan's in-laws. I'm flying my colors today, as many of us are. He was so weird. But he was weird in a good way, right? He was weird in a cool way. So, me and Gina, we met up at Bethel in the Hills, up on Fraser Mountain, the church camp. And then we later on in our lives we became pastors, pastored a church for years and years, sat on the board, and we knew. And the reason I say that is we knew Bob and Joyce. We were campers, and we thought they were so old, but they weren't very old, and they were the, what do you call it, the cool, no, they were the helpers. Counselors, thank you. Bob got me out of a pinch or two once or twice, I'm telling you. He looked out. He had my back. And we wound up sitting on the board for years and years. And so we knew Bob, and I'd heard about Ryan. And, every time I heard about him, I'd never met him, but I'd pray like everybody else. And we'd go up to camp because we love camp. And our kids went to camp. And so we went up there one night. And I go by this kid, and I said, oh, man, there's no denying who your dad is. And he looked up at me and goes, yeah. So we chit-chatted a little bit. Then Kayla come up to me a little while later, and she said, I'm going on a date, Dad. Oh, that wasn't unusual, but it was unusual her come tell me about it. And who are you going out with? And she says, Ryan Chrysler. I said, Ryan Chrysler. All right, and I think I just parked it right there, right in the sofa until he got there. So here comes Ryan. I may be completely wrong, but this is the way I remember it. He knocks on the door. I think he had some flowers. He was all sharp dressed. I think he had a jacket on or something. His hair's tight, and Kayla would look like a movie star. I'm telling you, which she always did. But so we said a few words, and then I looked outside, and he's putting her in a black Corvette. And later I asked Kayla, I said, is that his Corvette? No, it's his dad. Oh, it's his. Okay. I don't know if Kayla was impressed, but I was definitely impressed. We just loved Ryan. Like Joyce said, he moved up to Bakersfield. We put him in this we was doing a rehab on a new facility that we just acquired. And so he stayed down at the church. And I got to where I realized I had a lot in common with him. I mean, we agreed on everything, except Dodgers and Yankees, but we could live without that. But we did. We liked music. I introduced him to music, and he tried to tell me what he liked, and I said, yeah, that's good. Kayla was always doing that. And Steve, I'm sorry for you, but me and him celebrate when we'd see those signs for the McRib is back. They only serve it every once in a while. I had one the other day in his honor. I had to have one for myself too, so. But music, and he'd ask me questions when I was preaching. He's going to my church. And Gina says we should have Ryan and Kayla be the young married leaders. And I'm like, well, they're not even married, I had that certain way of thinking. And but they became the youth leaders, and he was working in the church. He's like, hey, I think I can fix your sound there. The sound, the videos. And I'm like, man, this kid's sharp. They got married. They moved back down to, what town you live in? I can't even think. Rowland Heights. And he he started right back up in his home church, you know. And Caleb had gone with him, pregnant, of course, with the baby Abigail, the darling beauty. Emma came next. Little Hannah. God, I love Ryan Chrysler. He changed my life. He changed my daughter's life. I forgot to add, when I came back, and I'm sorry I don't have any notes, I could talk for 3 hours about Ryan, I promise. But when they got back, I saw something different in that girl's eyes. I mean, she's always happy, beautiful, wonderful family, right? And she was glowing, and they were so happy. They had their own language. They didn't even have to talk. They could whisper, communicate constantly. But Ryan came back. He started helping his mom and dad in the church. And then they were able to acquire this property. So they had to move. Anybody ever have to move? You move a church, it's 10 times more work than that. And I saw him take off. Oh yeah, me and Gina got married at in this church. How many years, 40? How many decades? Oh my Lord. But we did. We didn't even go to church here. But Ryan, I kept seeing him growing and growing and doing work. And the children and his wonderful wife, my daughter, just moving forward. And all the while, I don't mean this any disrespect, he drugged that body. There was no quitting. I kept hearing, Ryan's the toughest guy I've ever seen. I'd be like, okay. Ryan is the toughest man I've ever met in my life. The last 2 months were the worst time of our lives. And none of us thought he wouldn't make it because he would get better. And then something would happen. And then he'd get better. He'd rally. Every time, there was no quitting that boy's heart. His mind, his spirit, he was a great spirit. He had a great spirit. And with his preaching, it was fantastic. He didn't preach like nobody else. Nobody else. Gina's coughing at me here, so I'm going to. I was a preacher long enough to know. I'm telling you, I could talk for 3 hours about Ryan. I love him. I have a son. I have a son-in-law, and Ryan was my other son-in-law, so I had 3 sons. But Ryan was not only my son-in-law, he was my friend. And we loved each other. And I'm really happy everybody's here today. And we love our family, the Chryslers. We share treasure. So, Ryan, fare thee well till we meet again.
There's no combination of words I could put on the back of a postcard. No song that I could sing, but I can try for your heart. And our dreams, and they are made out of real things, like a shoebox of photographs with sepia tone loving. Love is the answer, at least, for most of the questions in my heart. Like, why are we here and where do we go, and how come it's so hard? It's not always easy, and sometimes life can be deceiving. I'll tell you one thing, it's always better when we're together. It's always better when we're together. Yeah, we'll look at them stars and we're together. Well, it's always better when we're together. Yeah, it's always better when we're together. All of these moments just might find their way into my dreams tonight, but I know that they'll be gone when the morning light sings or brings new things. For tomorrow night you see that they'll be gone too. Too many things I have to do, but if all of these dreams might find their way into my day-to-day scene, I'd be under the impression I was somewhere in between, with only two, just me and you. Not so many things we got to do, or places we got to be. We'll sit beneath the mango tree now. Yeah, it's always better when we're together. We're somewhere in between together. Well, it's always better when we're together. Yeah, it's always better when we're together. I believe in memories, they look so pretty when I sleep. Hey, now and when I wake up, you look so pretty sleeping next to me. But there is not enough time, and there is no song I could sing, and there is no combination of words I could say, but I will still tell you one thing, we're better together.
I think one of the reasons why Ryan was a good pastor, he's a great pastor. Number one, he didn't like church. And he especially didn't like what we as Christians turned it into. And, sometimes the son will say, I don't know if I can fill my father's shoes. I don't know if I can fill Ryan's shoes. And, I know we'll all make it. But it sucks. And thank you all for being casual. Ryan hated suits. I'm wearing plaid and Converse, and I couldn't find my SpongeBob socks. And he taught me how to love SpongeBob. But I want to talk to you about what my son taught me. And if you see on the wall, you'll see it around us on various places. Some places we don't have it up yet because of getting ready for it today. But it's introducing people to the real Jesus. That's not a series. That's the theme. Ryan believed that church ought to be a place for the broken. And we've turned it into a place for Christians to come and sometimes feel superior than everyone else. And Ryan said, this needs to be a place where the broken can come in and feel loved. And, we joked about it, about naming our church the Church of the Messed Up People. And that people that came in, if they were, from another church, he usually just said, go on, you got so much baggage. And but if they come in off the street, he just goes, guy, come in. And then he'd tell us, don't be the Holy Spirit to them, church. Be Jesus to them. And reach out and love them. And he'd say, don't try to correct them. And he said, if we don't have enough Holy Spirit in this church where the Holy Spirit can talk to people, maybe we are the ones that need to repent. Preached a sermon it was a while back, but he didn't like church. He really didn't like people. And he really didn't like Christians. And what I say jokingly, but he just would just wanted church to be a place where people could come in and we could just love on them instead of changing them. He says that's the work of the Holy Spirit, Dad. That's not our job. Our job is to be Jesus to them. And it was introducing people to the real Jesus. That's the theme of this church. Not the phony Jesus, not all the laws and rituals we've always told that people hate when they think of church. They think of all the laws and everything. He said, let's just give them Jesus. And these are some of the things that Ryan taught me. He wasn't impressed with titles. In fact, inside, if you gave him your title first, he rolled his eyes. You seem to be the only one impressed. That's what made him different. He wasn't impressed. He wasn't interested in what you did. He was interested in what you were doing. And that's where his heart lied. He also had no diplomacy. He just chop wood and let the chips fall where they may. Me, if I had to chop wood, I'd make sure I picked up all the pieces and put them in the right place so I could pastor again next Sunday. And he'd go, if they don't come back, I don't care. And you just go. He preached a sermon on voodoo doll Jesus. About died. There goes the ministry. I'm going to get a call from Bishop. We need to talk, Bob. I know. And he went on to say, you know what we do as Christians, he says, we pull out our little Jesus and then we stick a prayer in him. And then we put him back until it's time to put another prayer in him. And he says, we kind of handle Jesus like we do a little voodoo doll. Because no wonder no one wants to pray to him. You know, especially if people are bad against you. Oh, God, get them. Get them. And we pray God sick him. And, you know, he goes, it's just like a voodoo doll. And he goes, you know, and he went on. I was shocked after that. He got us back to where Jesus wants to walk with us. Not something we pull out to talk to in a casual conversation. So he wasn't impressed. He let the chips fall where they may. And he literally not only marched to the beat of his own drum, he didn't let anybody else set the rhythm. Usually I am my own person. Was I okay? Here's something Ryan never did. Well, let me be truthful with you. He never said that. He always was. He just lay it out there and just go, you know, me, I have to go, you know, build everybody up. Oh, I'm going to get truthful here in a minute. So don't be upset. And Ryan would just say it. And then I go, Ryan, you know, there's people. They're not going to come back. We'll get more. There's more out there, Dad. And he was just serious about it. He never preached to impress. I know there's musicians out there, and musicians are going to know what I say. We don't play to impress people. We play to impress other musicians. Because 90% of the audience doesn't know chord, doesn't know change, doesn't know a minor from a major, doesn't know all the intricate ways that you can walk down a chord. I hear it, you musicians hear it, and you go, oh, that was good. He didn't preach to impress. He wasn't up here preaching to get, wow, it was a great sermon. He preached to impact. His goal was to meet the real Jesus. He says, I want them when they leave to be able to listen to Jesus on their own. He didn't like counseling. You talk to them, Dad. I ain't talking to them. I already preached that sermon, and they were here. His theory was, if you didn't hear me the first time, why am I preaching to you again? So he'd preach it and go, go in the archives and get that sermon. I already preached it. He was be your own person. And he didn't let circumstances dictate his future. You'll see, we're wearing plaid. Ryan wore a lot of plaid, not so much in love with plaid, but he was cold. Ryan stayed cold all the time. If you see some of his pictures, he's got a lot of clothes on. Well, he stayed cold. And I'd sit down there in the front row, and I know people talk about how tough he was. God, he was a tough kid. He'd go, I'll look at you, Dad, if I can't make it. And I'd sit right there, and I'd watch him like a hawk when he preached. And sometimes he'd get done, and Kayla knows, he'd just go, whew, almost didn't make it through that sermon, got dizzy. And he'd stand up here and preach, and we got people that won't come to church because, I'm a little tired. Well, maybe if you get saved, you know, pray to your voodoo doll Jesus. Well, that's how he would preach. Of course, I'm going, amen, amen, down there. And I'm going, oh my God, stop him. Gonna kill everything. But he didn't let circumstances stop him. And I knew it was tough. My son wasn't an athlete. None of my boys are athletes. But they are some of the toughest kids on this earth. They rise above it. And Ryan was awesome. I don't know if I can fulfill his shoes. Our church is going to walk through it. We'll talk more tomorrow. But if you're here and you don't have a home church, you got a home church, go to it. Pay tithes. Ryan said, they're not really with us, Dad. I go, how do you know? He says, they don't give. Oh, I know that, but you're not supposed to say it. and he just lay it out there. But if you're broken and messed up, church really is a place. Show you the real Jesus. Let me finish with not only what he taught me, but what he gave me. My son gave me not a daughter-in-law, but a daughter. Loved Kayla with all of her heart. When I saw Kayla one time sing, and they were up at camp, and I saw that, and I literally, and I told Joyce, I go, now that's who Ryan ought to date. And then sure enough, he did. And he gave me 3 little Ryans. I now have Ryan times 3. Joy of my life. And I know this is not a traditional funeral, but get over it. And he never thought of anything being right or wrong. He just did it. And he go, well, they were saying, well, we can apologize later. And but we're wearing clothes in honor of Ryan, and he loved his brother. Even though he was the younger brother, he still had to take care of him. He loved scaring the hell out of Chad. And he would hide. We had a honking horn, one of those real loud ones. And he'd run down the street and hide behind bushes and jump out and honk the horn, or drive by in the neighborhood and drive up to him and honk the horn. Chad got hit. Miracle in Chad. Chad got hit by a car going 45 miles an hour. Ran over him completely, the tire tracks across his legs. And so Chad's always been afraid of cars. But Ryan, he had no mercy on Chad. And but what he did was, I mean, they called themselves Beavis and Butthead. And Chad was Butthead. And so Butthead's got some things he wants to say. In fact, at work, he wrote this out for them. And let me bring you over here, buddy. He got his Beavis and Butthead shirt on. That's in honor. Yeah, Ryan bought it for him. So go ahead and talk about some of the things. I'll hold the mic, but then that way I can keep it at your mouth.
What?
We love to hang out together.
Why you took the why you to hang out with me?
He always told jokes.
Why you to do with me?
He used to go surfing.
Why you to the surfing?
He loved to go surfing. In fact, he brought his dog over after yours died.
Why you to why his dog over when my dog died?
Dad's forgetting. You ought to hold it. Best dad to have him.
Why? Why do that for to Emma Abby Hannah? Why was the best but
Anything else you want to say?
yeah. Why I happy for everyone that knew why I happy that everybody was here that knew why that know why I know why to
All right. No, turn around. All right. This is my other son, and his mother's out there somewhere.
All right. To those of you that don't know me, my name's Testy, and I've been Ryan's best friend since birth. I didn't really know what to say. I'd asked my sisters, and they just pretty much said, keep it short and to the point. So here we go. This is what I got. We don't get to choose our parents. We don't get to choose our brothers or our sisters or even our kids. But we do get to choose our friends, Real friendship is hard to come by. Few value it because few experience it. Ryan and I were always close. We essentially became adopted into each other's families. We were baptized together. We went to every birthday, and Ryan always wanted to celebrate my birthday. When I turned 30, I stopped counting and I stopped caring, but he kept pushing it, always insisting we did something. He passed away 2 days after my birthday, and looking back, I knew he was probably holding out on heaven just to be sure he didn't miss it. I was there for every one of his surgeries. When I had my appendix removed in the 3rd grade, he was there in the hospital with me. Him and Mom Chrysler were there. He had bought me a Dick Tracy blanket. Seeing me lie in bed and a little sedated, I remember him telling me, "It doesn't feel so good, does it?" We listened to a lot of the same music. We both rooted for the Yankees. In junior high, we simultaneously fell in love with the actress Jennifer Connelly in the movie The Rocketeer. We walked out of the theater realizing just how hot women were. His dad took us fishing. Brother Earl put us to work. His Uncle Jimmy taught us how to catch lizards. His Uncle Don, Travis, and Landon introduced us to the beach, and we had a lot of fond memories there. We were involved in just about every church activity and play, mostly acting like fools. We were terrible Sunday school students to Sister Vicky, Sister Min, and Sister Ortiz. We were the 2 little demon brothers, and Vanessa was the sweet one. We were at all of each other's graduations. Ryan and Kayla let me stay at their place a few nights a week when I was in medic school. Kayla did flashcard quizzes with me, and Emma never seemed to understand why I was coloring the words in my textbook and not the pictures. When I accidentally left the book there, she went ahead and colored them anyway. I was there for every one of Ryan's new hairdos or style trends, and I'd tell him, "Ryan, you're making it difficult for me to defend you, dude." I'd tell you he was the type of person who'd give you the shirt off his back, but it would do no good because I know they wouldn't fit. He always wore a shirt size too small. Long story short, our friendship stood the test of time, even when he met Kayla, and when he met her, it was as if the world stopped turning. He was obsessed. We definitely hung out less, but that didn't bother me. What bothered me was that Ryan met someone who ran their mouth off more than he did. Because it's true. That's when the friendship was tested. But in all seriousness, I couldn't imagine anyone more meant for him than her. Thinking of Ryan's life and all that he experienced, he never complained. I really don't think out of all the years we were friends, I ever thought of him as being sick, or at least consider his limitations. When we were kids, he had a pacemaker. Doctors told him he couldn't be around microwaves because the radiation would fry it. On multiple occasions, when he'd sleep over, I'd be in the kitchen warming up a Hot Pocket, and he'd bolt right out. Sorry, Ryan, I forgot, and I kept forgetting. I remember skateboarding down Val Carlos Avenue with him, and it was a steep hill, and going down a steep hill like that, you're going to get thrown from the board, so we later found out. But after he got thrown, banged up, and bruised, I said, "What if we tried going down sitting on the board instead?" Ryan wasn't up for it. Not too recently, when Ryan started feeling bad, we went to Salt Creek Beach. There's a long, steep grade to get down to the beach, and what goes down must come back up. We stopped about 5 times going back up because Ryan was feeling dizzy. When we got home and Kayla found out, she wanted to kill me. But he never complained. The only time I ever heard him make an excuse was when we were younger. My stepdad, Ron, and I were digging up a stump. Ryan had already had his transplant, and he was standing around doing nothing but watch us work. I looked at him and said, "You got a broken arm?" He tells me, "Doctors say I'm not supposed to be around a lot of dirt." I didn't even flinch. "Horse shit, get your ass over here and grab a shovel." If there was anything Ryan hated the most, it was when people perceived him as what he termed heart boy. It was like pulling teeth to get him to tell his story. He avoided anyone showing him that consideration or sympathy. He told me how much he hated it, and I, to be honest, never thought of him that way, mostly because I'm stupid, but also because he was good at hiding it. He pushed himself. When he was first pursuing Kayla, we were playing broom hockey in an auditorium. She was sitting in the stands watching, and I had never seen Ryan move that fast and be so aggressive playing. He was all over the room. When we took a break, I remember him running outside to throw up. All for a girl. From time to time, he'd push his limits, and it seemed God had always given him just enough strength. And throughout his life, it was always just enough. Ryan was a loyal friend, never put me off, always showed up, always had my back. He encouraged me, annoyed me, laughed at my stupid jokes, and still called me his friend even after I'd yell at his ugly dog. They give Purple Hearts for less than what Ryan had to endure. And in spite of it all, I never heard him curse God for it. He had every opportunity to walk away and every reason in his right mind to tell Christ, this isn't going to work out between us. I'm not an idiot. Use someone else. But he didn't. Ryan knew the Lord, and when you experience knowing him, there's a lot more going on. And it stayed with Ryan. To be bitter and resentful would only be short-sighted. Ryan and I were friends because of Christ. Because of Christ, we are blessed by the Chrysler family and the impact their love, Christ's love, has had on our lives. We are here to not only honor a strong, brave, and courageous man, but also acknowledge the inescapable wonder of God's work. And because of Christ, I know I'll see my friend again.
All right. My name's Becky Jones. I'm married to this really funny guy in the black shirt here in the front row. Kayla asked me to read something from her, so I'm going to attempt to get through it without crying, so please bear with me. I've spent a lot of time searching for the right words to express my love and devotion to my husband, Ryan. I've wondered how I can possibly share the depths of our bond, friendship, and love. We truly spent all our time together, either directly in each other's company or texting and talking on the phone. There wasn't anything we didn't talk about. There wasn't anyone we liked more than each other. Sorry, Dusty and Stevie. And we loved each other fully and completely. At 18 years old, I went on a date with a guy wearing a lime green polo shirt, plaid shorts, and flip-flops. And less than 1 year later, I married him. It took me 24 hours after our first date to realize I not only loved Ryan, but that he would be the man I married. And I was right. Ryan and I shared an uncommonly tight bond that went beyond just husband and wife. He was truly my very best friend. Ryan and I understood one another in a way no one else did. His sense of humor, the way he made himself laugh until he choked and coughed, his lame dad jokes that he saved just to watch our oldest daughter's eyes roll back in her head, his love for the Grateful Dead, his ability to live life so fully while being chronically ill, and so many other things. Ryan's life had never been easy, but he always had to fight, and it made him so much more appreciative of the things that others took for granted. One thing Ryan loved with all his heart was being a father. Abigail, Emma, and Hannah were the greatest joys of his life, and he genuinely reveled in being a dad. Where most men would balk at the idea of taking all three of their small daughters anywhere, Ryan couldn't wait to pop them in the car and go to the comic store or get Slurpees. There was no greater joy than being with our kids. There was no event too small for him to make a priority. In fact, he threw an absolute fit to get out of the hospital in time for Abigail and Emma's school musical. He threatened to take his own IV out just so he could leave in time. When Abigail earned a spot in her school's production of The Little Mermaid, he bragged to anyone and everyone that she was the star of the show. He even made sure we bought flowers to give her after her performance. When Emma earned school-wide awards of her reading scores, he showed everyone the video over and over. And when Hannah learned to say, "I love you, Daddy," he was the proudest papa in the world. These girls were the light of his life. They were pure joy. I'm just going to throw that on the ground. Not only was Ryan a wonderful father and a devoted husband, but he was also an incredible pastor. Ministry is something we agreed to never do early on in our marriage. Neither of us had a desire to be involved in pastoring, and we knew it would take a massive act of God to change our minds. Well, that traitor changed his mind. I realized we were going into ministry despite my best attempts to derail it, and I can truly say I was amazed at the kind of speaker Ryan became. He was completely himself. He didn't try to be like anyone else. He didn't change. He stood on the stage and admitted he had flaws, that he struggled, and he wasn't perfect, and people related to him. They loved him. He admitted he was rather antisocial and didn't enjoy talking to people, and our people loved him even more for it. They found it hilarious that their pastor wasn't the typical pastor, that he loved people, but didn't necessarily want to sit and chat for hours. He was just himself, exactly as God created him to be. And I was so proud to watch him step into a role he was born to be in. He simply wanted to introduce people to the real Jesus. And if you look around the building, you'll see that vision in every corner. He believed completely in the team mentality that it wasn't about him, it was about us. He made church a movement, not just something we attended. It was my privilege to sit under his ministry and listen to him. I was glad he was my pastor. I love Ryan with all my heart, and I miss him more than I can possibly say. But I hope everyone can be inspired by Ryan's story. I hope you can walk away living like him. He didn't make excuses. He didn't hide behind his illness. He didn't pretend to be anything he wasn't. And he didn't waste time. He was always moving forward, doing something, living. Even though he was sicker than you and I will probably ever be, he lived more in his 37 years than most of us will in our lifetime. I'm honored to have been his wife for 10 years and 7 months. I'm so thankful to be the mother of his beautiful children, Abigail Luann, Emma Elaine, and Hannah Riley. And I'm proud that we can carry on his legacy to introduce people to the real Jesus and to live life to the very fullest while we do it. I love you, Ryan. Me.
If you turn to the last page on your program, the back. Sorry, not the last page, but if you flip it over and look at the back, there's some words to a song that we've sang forever to Ryan. And I didn't realize there was going to be accompaniment, so we're just going to go with whatever key you're playing in here. We're going to sing A Merry Heart. If you let us sing along. If you don't know the words, that's okay. It's really not that hard. You can just read it. Ryan didn't know how to sing at all, so it's okay. A merry heart doeth good like a medicine, like a medicine is a merry heart, a broken spirit drieth the bones, but a merry heart is the joy of the Lord. We'll sing it one more time for him. A merry heart doeth good like a medicine, like a medicine is a merry heart. Drieth the bones, but a merry heart is the joy of the Lord. Thank you.
This concludes the service for Ryan today. But there is tons of food outside, and we want you to stay. We want to be able to see everyone. You've come in as we were sitting, and we really want to be able to just greet you and hug you. And what we'd like is for you to exit out the front doors, go to the gate, and then the cafe doors right there. Just go right in, and everything is set up. It's beautiful. And I'd really like to thank Trisha Jones. She has been here every day this week setting up for the fellowship today. And her husband, Steve, and Dusty, and they've just all worked hard to make this so beautiful for everybody and for us. I mean, what a blessing that as a pastor's wife, if there's a dinner, you're doing it all. But this week I have not been here, and they have taken the load. They have planned and put everything together. And I'd like to do one more thank you to our sound man, Daniel Padaling Hug, and his team, Josh and Jared. They have been wonderful. Somebody stole our modem, so we didn't even have Wi-Fi last Sunday. And so they have worked every day this week just trying to get the Wi-Fi back running, and they accomplished it. Thank you, Daniel. I love you. And I want to thank Amelia, too. Amelia's worked really hard, David's wife. But so many people came together to make this day successful. I'm grateful you're here. I'm a mama. My heart's broken, but you're here to love me. And I thank you for that. And I know Bob does too.
Ryan preached with this TV screen. And I know sometimes we put up our scriptures on the board. Ryan did no less than 35, sometimes 50 slides in one sermon. And every time he would mention somebody, he took text. He preached text from the Grateful Dead. He took text from things, from movies, and from stories, and brought it down to life where the people live. And so, anyway, we put this up here in honor of Ryan. I'll dismiss you like we do, like we're going to do tomorrow. Love you. Get out of here.
There is no combination of words that I could put on a postcard. No song that I could sing, but I could try, because this is your heart and these are our dreams, and they are made out of real things, like shoebox photographs, sepia tone love. And love is the answer, at least for most of the questions in my heart, like why we're here and where do we go and how come it's so hard. It's not always easy, and sometimes life can be deceiving. I'll tell you one thing, it's so much better when we're together. It's so much better when we're together. Well, it's so much better when we're together. Yeah, it's so much better when we're together. So much better when we're together. And all of these moments just might find their way into my dreams tonight. And I know that they'll be gone. The morning light that sings or brings new things. For tomorrow night you see, they'll be gone too. Too many things I gotta do. If all of these dreams might find their way into my day-to-day scene, I'll be under the impression I was somewhere in between, with only two, just me and you. Not so many things we gotta do, places we got to be. We'll sit beneath the mango tree now. We're so much better when we're together. Somewhere in between together. We're so much better when we're together. Yeah, so much better when we're together. I believe in memories, they look so pretty when I sleep. When I wake up, you look so pretty, sleeping next to me. But there's not enough time. There is no song I could sing. There is no combination of words I could say, but I will still tell you one thing: we're better together. We're so much better when we're together. We're so much better when we're together. I want to bring Ziggy Marley up on the stage.